Welcome back to the Gaming Grounds channel. It's your boy Action Jack, and yes, I know my videos are too far in between, but I always want to make sure I do videos based on stuff that I feel like is very important, and it's not just regurgitated information that you see out there. I'm doing it a little bit different scene, different situation. Don't need to have a professional mic in front of me, using my earbuds and using my phone within my living room. Should you get into VR at all? And that's something that I want to talk about here. I don't want to go over the specs. I don't want to go over the details. I want to go over features, things that you will be getting, things that you should be looking forward to, things that you should be ignoring, things you should be paying attention to. And that's how I want to handle this video. So I'm going to kick it off in a very, very good way. PSVR 2, great headset. Quest 2, great headset. Valve Index, great headset. And that's one of the key things that you have to understand. There is no bad headset when it comes down to the three kings, if you will, of each platform, whether you talk about PC, mobile, or in this case, console, right? So this is how I want to handle it. I don't have too much insight on PC VR. I'm aware of it, never owned one, played them, but I'm gonna keep it with the mobile and the console, which I feel like is more accessible for your everyday person. Everyone has a console, or let's say majority of people have consoles, and then people can easily go out and buy a Quest 2 because it's mobile, and this is all you really need to even get into VR, right? So let's look at this whole scope. You look at Quest 2, mobile, all you need is the headset itself, the controllers that it comes with, and you're good to go as far as setting up your accounts with the Meta account, which now you no longer need to have Facebook, you're good to go. Now, the pros that I have with the Quest 2 in itself and how it's set up and the things that you have going forward, yes, you have the mobility. Take it anywhere, share with anybody, very easy to set up, and also it has a lot of support. When it comes down to the app in itself is something that needs to be updated for sure, but nonetheless, there are some things on the app that I feel like every VR headset company should put within their apps if they have apps. For example, if I wanted to play a game like Warplanes, then on that app, not only do I have reviews, I have the pricing, I have pictures, I have videos, as well as I have an intensity meter, if you will, or a comfortability meter. So that way, before I even try the game out, I have the ability to see, hey, look, I'm more on the nauseous side, so I can't do intense games. Or if it says moderate, maybe I can, and if it's comfortable, I know for a fact that I'm comfortable. Same thing when you talk about the type of game that it is, when you talk about standing, sitting, or room scale. So these are all things that are very important that for gamers that are on consoles or on PC, you don't really have to worry about that because you just have your controller, your TV, your console, and as long as you have a means to play, you can play it, right? But when it comes down to VR, you have a little bit more that you need to have information on to see if the game is either A, for you, or it can even be played by you, and see if you even have the space to do it. The way I have my living room set up, I can do room scale. I can do sitting within the chair that swivels, so that way I can do what I have to do. And then at the same time, I can do standing, right? To where we go over to something like the PSVR 2, as you can see, it's cabled. You have to plug it into the PS5. So you have to have the console in itself to even play it. So that's an extra expense. That's an extra piece of equipment. And then you really just have this very lightweight headset, but it's going to be plugged in. You have to worry about a cable. Now, some people may not concern themselves with that, but others see that as a problem, especially when you talk about the mobile aspect of it. I can take this anywhere I want to, and I can share it with anybody I want to. If I don't carry my PS5 with me, or if somebody doesn't have a PS5 to where it's set up, then yeah, it's pretty much a dud. I have to keep it here at my house. Plus, it's pretty expensive, and I really don't want to take it anywhere anyway, right? But when we look at the PlayStation app, everything that I just mentioned about the Quest and their app, PlayStation doesn't have that. If I go and I search for the PlayStation VR 2 games, I see the games, I see the pricing, I see pictures, and I see video, but there's no reviews, and there's no comfortability meter at all. So I'm really taking a shot at if I can even play this game or not. We have a game, I think it's called, I think it's War Thunder or something on the lines. It's like a flight simulator that's coming pretty soon that they just announced. Flight games are very, very strenuous. They're very hard to play when it comes down to VR because there's a lot of movement. You're flying upside down. You can get a lot of motion sickness from that. Same thing with racing games, right? Luckily for myself, I don't get motion sickness that easy. And playing Gran Turismo 7 in VR, which is amazing, by the way, I didn't get motion sickness, right? But that might be different for this flight simulator game. And that's something that I feel like the consumer should know coming from Sony, testing out these games and letting you know if this is a real serious game or if there's something that's a little bit more lightweight for you to be able to play and enjoy, right? So then we go into what is it that you have available when it comes down to each one of these headsets from a gaming standpoint or even a support standpoint, right? We don't really know what the support is for PlayStation VR 2. I mean, we can only go off of the past, right? With the PSVR. I wouldn't say they had a lot of support. I mean, it was enough from what you would see from VR at that time, but really it wasn't anything to really blink an eye at, right? To where Quest 2, there's constantly games dropping damn near every week. And then on top of that, now they just added, which I just saw the other day, you have the ability of free trials. So if you want to try out a game for 20 minutes, you can do that without even purchasing the game. And then, see what's upcoming, seeing what is the top ranked games when it comes down to VR. Sony doesn't have that yet, and I'm hoping that they update that, and I hope that's something that they issue out there and they put out there. One of the key things that I would say is a little bit disingenuous that I feel like Sony did was they came out, hey, we have 40 plus games at launch. True or not true? You can definitely see the games there. There are some that are available, but a lot of them that they were marketing and a lot of them that they were pushing, those games are not available right now. Like there's a few of them. Switchback is one of them. Creed, Rise of Glory is one of them. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, that's not available right now. And these are the games that were kind of at the forefront of what they were pushing. And some of it is window and some of it is not. For example, Creed doesn't come out until April 4th. Switchback doesn't come out until March 16th. So in the event that you're getting this and you're hoping and you're wishing to play any and everything that is accessible, this could be a problem. Where else I see a problem is if you own a Quest 2 or if you own a PCVR, majority of this library gets cut almost in half, if not more than half. No one's gonna, well, I wouldn't say no one, but most people will not double dip when it comes down to the product, especially if they still own the headset. I own a lot of games on my Quest 2. So when I look at the library for the PSVR 2, it takes a lot of great games out of it for me. Pistol Whip being one of them. Cosmos is High being another one. Whether you talk about Les Mills Body Combat, that's taken out of the picture. It's a lot of games that are either PSVR ports or they come from Quest 2, so they're older games. So therefore, you're really looking at those that never own VR and getting into it. This is an amazing library for you. But in all honesty, for those that have Quest 2 or PCVR, there's nothing really here that you may or may not have touched outside of Horizon, Gran Turismo. No Man's Sky was on PC VR, and you have Kayak Mirage VR, but then you have Resident Evil. So that's where I feel like the problem comes into play. So now it comes down to the question of, well, Jack, is PSVR 2 even worth it, right? I put it in this category. If you own a Quest 2, you own a PC VR, not right now. Like I personally, if I was somebody else, I'm more of an enthusiast. I wouldn't touch it. Not right now. There's not enough there. Horizon is a great game. Gran Turismo 7 is a fantastic game. I'm too much of a punk to play Resident Evil, so I can't even tell you on that. And I'm not into Pavlov, but either way you look at it, Pavlov is not exclusive. It's on PC VR as well as Quest 2. So there's not much for you there, right? And when you start talking about, Quest 2 and having the flexibility to be mobile and play it anywhere, and then also be able to share in the simple of creating another account on the other headset and then buying one game to play multiplayer, that's something that this can't do. That's something that PCVR 2 can't do. Don't get me wrong, the controllers for this thing are amazing. I love the triggers, the haptic feedback. The design I'm still getting used to because the trigger buttons here on the side, the grip buttons, the L1 and the R1, I don't know why they didn't extend these out further, but if you see here on the Quest controller, it's out quite a bit to where you can actually press that in and you can hold it and it's lightweight. To where here, there's not much, so I find myself a lot of times trying to hold guns or hold weapons and I drop them because you lose the grip. And so that's something that I feel like Sony should have pushed out a little bit more. I don't know why they did it this way. Maybe it's like a sleek look, but I really don't like that. So it means that a lot of this is going to have to be fixed on the software side for the developers that are releasing their games on toggling whether you want to hold it yourself or even have it as an auto hold the moment that you pick up the weapon, right? So when we get into the visuals are fantastic. There's no question about that. on paper, there's no question about it being a great headset. But I think this is where a lot of gamers, or at least the community gamers, get it wrong when they look at the PSVR 2 versus a Quest 2 or versus a PCVR. When you're doing a proper comparison of PSVR and PSVR 2, yes, you can see the graphic fidelity, the improvements, you can see everything that comes along with it, going from that hefty switch box with all those cables to something that's singular. Yes, that is all amazing, but you can't just depend on graphics. You should never do that with gaming anyway, but we all know how a lot of people just look at frame rates and graphics and call it the all in all of this is a great game. But when it comes down to the VR headsets, you need more than that. You need more than graphics. You need more than frame rates, because a lot of these games you're going to pick up and put down. When it comes down to experiences, you may not want to get into certain experiences because of the cost of the game, right? Whether it's $50, $40, $30, what have you. And that's one of the things where, once again, Quest 2 flourishes in the sense that if I purchase a game, I get a referral code that I can put in the comment section, or I can send to somebody, and they can get 15% off on the game. And then with them getting 15% off, I get referral bumps. So when you get to a certain amount, you can use that referral to go and get other free stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that they have implemented. When it comes down to the return policy, I don't know what the return policy is with Sony on the PSVR 2, but when it comes down to Quest, if you haven't played it more than 2 hours, or if you haven't had the game for a certain amount of time, you can return it, no problem, and you'll get your money back within 72 hours. And that's a great deal, because PSVR, well, VR in general is a niche event, a niche hobby. So therefore, you don't know if people are really going to buy into it, if they can even play the game. There's a lot of amazing games on Quest I can't play because I get nauseous, right? So when you look at the accessibility, Meta thought about this. There's things that, a lot of people look at on paper and say, okay, well, this is only $550 compared to, the $400 or $500, depending on what variant you go with the Quest. But you realize this thing is missing a lot of features. Yes, you have the haptic feedbacks on your controllers, but guess what? This has hand tracking. Now, it may not be used to its fullest extent all the time, but the ability is there. When it comes down to doing things in AR, that's not here. It is here. So there are so many features that people don't even think about, and they just look at price, graphics, and the capability of the device, and not realizing what is truly missing. There's so many things that I feel like Sony could truly improve on from a software standpoint, both from an app standpoint as well as the headset standpoint. I don't care anything about this whole screen door effect, the mirror, this and that and the third. Like, this is a great headset. It looks great. The games look great. They run great. They play great. They play fantastic. But by no means did it ever make me want to double dip on something that I already had here on the Quest 2. It didn't make me put down my Quest 2 at all. All it did was say, hey, any games that I don't own here, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to purchase here. For example, with Saints and Sinners, with Retribution, it doesn't run or look very well on the Quest 2. So that's something that I would do on the PSVR 2, right? But when it comes down to the things that I may want to try, I can use this as a rental system now in the event that I want to get something over here. So when it looks like, okay, I want to do a free trial, or if I just want to purchase it and then just return it, I can do that here. I can try it here before I go and spend all the money over on the PSVR 2 side. So all in all, if you own a headset already, should you get a PSVR 2? Not yet. If you don't have headsets at all and you have a PS5 and you're somewhat interested in PSVR 2 or VR in general, should you get the headset? Not right now. If you're an enthusiast and you get all the latest and greatest stuff and you have a PS5 and you're interested in VR and you want to see what it's about, 9 times out of 10, you already have this. So I'm really not even talking to you. But if you're even on the fence at all about VR, or if you get motion sickness, or if you're nauseous, or if you get nauseous in a car or in a plane, I would stay away from it, or either find a friend or a family member that has one to test this out, because I'm pretty sure this is not going to be in any type of setup, any type of kiosk, or in type of Targets or Best Buys or GameStops. This isn't. So I'm pretty sure this won't be either. That's going to be a big headache, trying to get people to do those and not break it. It'll turn into a big problem. So it's something that you can't even test. So at this point in time, I didn't want to make this too long, but really, I've been enjoying the headset when I do have time to play it. Being an adult sucks sometimes. So I really haven't had the time to, invest into it as much as I wanted to. Plus I have kids. You know, even though they tell you 12 and under shouldn't play this, my kids have had a blast with both of these headsets. So it's neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, Horizon is great. But when it comes down to Gran Turismo, yes, it's a great game. But for the big immersion that everybody's talking about that you should get or that you should experience, that's probably going to be an extra $400, $500 if you go for steering wheel as well as a cockpit. So that's up to you. That's what you want to do. And I'm assuming there's going to be a lot more videos when it comes down to this flight simulator telling you to get a cockpit along with a whole y'all flight controllers, right? So it's up to you on how heavy you want to go into this, how big you want to go into this. Is it a great headset? For sure. If you're interested in VR and have a PS5, should you get it? For sure. If you're on the fence, don't touch it. If you have the headsets already, wait. The games are not there yet. The games are not here yet. Even the ones that they've promised us, just announced. All the games I was looking forward to, I can't even play them right now. So yeah, I mean that's my feedback on it. That is a preview. By no means do I plan to review it. It's one of those headsets that, because I love VR, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll definitely continue to do more videos on it. I don't know if I'll ever review games, but I'll definitely give my opinions on games that I do play. So yeah, this is just a little quick, brief thing about PSVR 2 and kind of the fun that I've been having with it and how I've been enjoying it. My kids have been enjoying it, and just how much of a good product this is. But it does have room for improvement from both the app standpoint as well as the game software side, right? So yeah, it's been your boy Action Jack, and I thank y'all for viewing another video, and I'll catch y'all later on the podcast. Peace.